According to the FBI, a violent crime happens in America roughly every 26 seconds. Well, we just saw a story of a woman who was kidnapped and assaulted. And you don't have to watch the news long before hearing about another deadly shooting. So how can you prepare for what's becoming all too common? Take a look.
In a society where every stranger is a potential threat, it's important to take precautions and remain vigilant at all times. Former Navy SEAL Clint Emerson says, always be prepared for an emergency. In his book, 100 Deadly Skills, Clint shares tricks he learned to protect himself at home and abroad. His methods will improve your chances of surviving any dangerous situation.
Well, Clint Emerson is here with us now. And Clint, we welcome you to the 700 Club.
Thanks for having me.
Former Navy SEAL. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I went in the Navy, did 20 years. I spent half my time on the West Coast, half on the East Coast, and came across a bunch of skills, kind of on-the-job training, and that's what led me down the path of putting together a book that gives people skills that they could use against crisis, especially with the most common threats that you see today.
You know, I think people are afraid today. There's so much going on. You really can't listen to the news. Every day you hear something. And I think people in their minds do start thinking, what would I do if that happened? There are two things that you say everybody should have going on inside their heads and their hearts.
Yeah, I've been trying to push that the run, hide, fight mentality is something, a checkoff list that you need so that when crisis strikes, you've already got decisions made, and all you got to do is act those decisions out. You don't want to be making decisions in the middle of a crisis. So
but you say be prepared and...
Well, I've got a lot of been saying. I mean, it depends on the subject, but yeah, being prepared without a doubt is a good Boy Scout motto, right? And I think it applies. And getting educated and making sure you know what the predator or bad guys are capable of, which makes it easier to defeat.
And just being aware of all of what we're talking about kind of sets you up for doing the rest of what you write about in your book. But you say if you can run, get out.
Correct.
Right?
I think you have to know that anytime the bad guys walk through the door, you should already know where you're going to run. And if you're going to run kind of in a zigzag pattern, because if they have guns, it's much more difficult to shoot you. If you can't run, then hide. Make sure you hide behind things that provide cover. Cover is anything that stops bullets. Cinder block walls, big pillars at the mall, big planters that you can hide behind. And then if you can't hide behind something that stops and you're in a confined space, like a train in Europe or in a classroom, sometimes you're left with the only option is to fight, and fight as a team and leverage your environment to create weapons that can help you get out of that situation.
Before we talk about some of the specific techniques of fighting when you have the need to do that, want to mention also that you say, because I think people struggle with this sometimes, if it's a money issue or something of value, give them what you've got.
Correct. You don't want to, you know, your life is more important than your wallet, your car, your jewelry, anything else you might have these days. So give it up, and if you feel like that they're still continuing to be a threat, well, then that's when you need to take things to the next level.
So what's an everyday carry kit? You say everybody should have one of these. What's in
Yeah,
that?
this has become really popular, and it's the things that you want to have on you everywhere you go, or it's things that you already carry with you. You just didn't realize that each piece of what you carry each day could potentially be a weapon or something to get you out of a bad situation. So, you know, women have bobby pins. Bobby pins are great on getting out of handcuffs or shimming zip ties if you find yourself restrained. Razor blades are everywhere on this planet. If you have some planted in random spots, you can cut yourself free from tape. Pins, we're going to be talking about that. It's leveraging a pin can sometimes help get you out of a sticky situation, because this can inflict a serious amount of pain against someone.
How do I use a pen?
So, you know, what I've been pushing in the book is really, these are steel-barreled pens, and you can buy them at any store. You want to make sure they're steel barrel so that they withstand the blow that you're going to deliver with them, right? A plastic pen will break on the first. You want to be able to, you want to be able to hit somebody multiple times.
Okay.
Let
me bring Nathan Bannister in if I can.
Sure.
He's part of our 700 Club staff here.
So
yeah, I'm going to let him do this on Nathan.
So a lot of times using a pen as a weapon, most people don't think about it, or they think it's a little Hollywoodish, but it's not. I mean, a steel barrel pen, once you you know, get the cartridge out, you know, and you got the inky point, this thing can punch through like plywood.
Wow.
So you want to have an under grip or an over grip. You want to make sure your thumb is behind the plunger so that when you hit, your hand doesn't slide down.
It doesn't,
Right, down the pin. And you want to go for the eye, okay? The eye is a great place against an adversary, the ribs, the kidney. The goal is to deliver as much pain as possible so that you can escape. We're not looking to stay in some kind of kung fu theater match. You don't want to fight for 5 minutes. You want to fight for a couple of seconds and then
get
run.
Away. Now, you have to do this with intention, though. I mean, you got to have purpose in your head that you are going to deliver this with some power, right?
Yes, there's no halfway. You have to deliver as much violence as you can, and you need to match the level of aggression being used against you if you want to win.
You've got some other things here. Let's talk about what else you have.
Yeah, so other than using a pen, newspapers. Newspapers are great these days. Paper's been going away. I'm trying to bring it back. So, you know, you can read things on your iPad. You can use your iPad as a weapon, but there's nothing better than good old newspaper.
Tightly rolled up, I'm
Tightly
assuming.
rolled. So if you take several sheets, right, and you want the more paper, the better, the more dense your club becomes. And you're literally, if you have, let's say, 10, 20 sheets of paper, you're going to roll it nice and tight. And as you roll it, keep all that air out. And then as you fold it over, it's going to become this,
you fold it, and that's where you got the...
And you can add, you know, if you really want to be devious, you can add a nail to it, okay? And this was actually created by a lot of your soccer players in Europe. Stadium security got to the point where it was really good. And so they would bring newspapers in. They would wet the newspaper with, you know, water, and then fold it and make it even harder. But the end of this thing becomes very hard. It's an improvised club. You can add a nail if you like. That's really going to emphasize the pain so that you can get away.
Well, and the best place to hit with that, same thing as the pen, the eye, the... Yeah,
you want to go for, you know, the head is always a great striking point. You know, anywhere to the body. It really depends on the situation, but anywhere you can strike is going to hurt. And that's, you're just delivering pain so that you can get away.
Okay, and I see some knives there that...
Yes. So in a knife, you know, a lot of your bad guys, it's interesting to look at the statistics, right? The FBI just put out that, you know, most of your violent crime is done with knives. In second place is handguns. In a very, very long third place is assault rifles. So knowing what to do if a bad guy presents a knife to you is very important. So he's the bad guy. A lot of bad guys are going to present kind of a sword fight type mentality. They're going to have this knife out here to intimidate you. One of the things you have to think about is life over limb, right? Knowing that I'm going to put up an arm, I'm going to try and cover this arm with a towel, my shirt. It becomes a guard hand, yes. And it's going to take some hits, but that's better than any of those blows coming to your body or to your face or to your neck, right? So you know you're going to give up something. You want to turn your hand inward, so all your major arteries and veins are protected. They're on the inside. So this is my guard hand, and you got a strong stance. I know that that's going to take hits, and then I'm keeping my weapon hand guarded as well, so it can't be taken away from me, and then I can deliver. He's going to strike my arm, I'm going to deliver something back. And in knife fighting, you have a lot of push and pull type techniques. It's important to know that you're not trying to slice, you're trying to puncture,
penetrate,
and then get away. And that's,
and you talk a lot about turning, too, in your book when you're doing something like that giving yourself fully to...
Correct. You want to pivot, you want to try and minimize the area that you have, the area surface that you're given to your adversary.
Well, go ahead. You've taken the blows here, Nathan. I want to say that we have barely skimmed the surface here because this book is filled with skills. 100 Deadly Skills, the title. It's replete with tips, illustrations also, so you can actually see what it is we're talking about and not just try to figure it out from reading it. Picking locks, evading ambushes, and we want you to know it just hit the New York Times bestseller list on Sunday. Congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Wonderful. So available wherever books are sold. And Clint, thank you. This is a time where people are wanting to feel more confident about their ability to take care and protect themselves and their families.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Wonderful job.